I'm Carey Stinson, and my journey through life has been quite an adventure. For over 20 years, I played Barney the Dinosaur on tour and 7 seasons of the hugely popular TV show Barney and Friends. Now my journey is to bring together friends and guests from all over the entertainment world for inspiring and at times amusing behind-the-scenes conversation. I'm Carey Stinson, and this is Purple Roads. Welcome to Purple Roads. My name is Carey Stinson, and as always, I'm thrilled you're here. This is such a fun episode we got going on this week. We have Jessie Baylin, singer-songwriter, who has this cool new album out called Strawberry Wind, and I think you're going to dig it too. Jessie, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm really good. I got to tell you, when I found out about you, I went and looked up Strawberry Wind. I looked at all that, and I mean, I had an immediate connection to it. Congratulations on this album.
Thank you so much. I'm very proud of it, and I'm so excited for it to fully be out in the world.
So we're going to talk about Strawberry Wind a lot, but I do want to kind of start at the beginning. How'd you become a singer-songwriter?
Music was always an important part of my life. My parents owned bars and restaurants in New Jersey. The first one being one that had a jazz bar in the front lounge, so that was pretty special to be surrounded by music.
How cool.
And I went to art school in Manhattan in high school, and just sort of fell in love with playing with words and melody, and moved to Los Angeles, and things kind of fell into place. Felt very lucky. So
Did it start with the singing, or did it start with the songwriting? Which came first?
I think singing started first, doing, playing cover songs with friends in Central Park. We just sort of playing our favorite tunes. And then from there, realizing, oh, I think I could do that also, and playing around with some ideas. And I mean, again, I just felt extremely lucky because, in Los Angeles, there's so many creatives where you just sort of get lost in the shuffle, but somehow some stars aligned for me. And, the first few songs I wrote ended up being decent enough that I was booked for a showcase at the Mint. It was just reopening in Los Angeles. And the first show had 40 people. By the 5th show, it was sold out. And I had, development deals and publishing deals and things like that. So,
Wow. Wow, that is
I was
so
pretty
cool.
green. I was pretty green, though, I have to say. So it took me a while to really find exactly what my true voice was going to be.
I
Uh,
do.
yeah, I had to take some time for myself to discover that.
And how did you do that?
Uh, well, I got a publishing deal, and I just wrote as much as I possibly could with different writers, um, people, I requested to write with certain people I admired, and I liked the records they made. And I was like, I want to make music that I would like to listen to. So kind of exploring that. And um, yeah, I think that's kind of, it just took time, and really just getting the pen to the page to figure out what I wanted to say too.
Because it's interesting, because it's two different worlds, right? From the songwriting part, but then being on stage and performing and being in front of
Hmm.
audiences. How did
Yeah.
you settle into that part of it?
I mean, fake it till you make it, as some say.
Oh, I did it for a long time. I am very guilty of that. I know.
What I did was I hired a bunch of session players to be my backup band, because I was like, as long as the music is fantastic, even if I'm awkward, it will at least sound pleasing to the ear.
Right.
Um, but I kind of found myself and just leaned into what I was influenced by growing up, and watched a lot of like classic rock videos and YouTube, and stole a few moves, and you know people enjoyed coming to the shows, so it worked. like I said, fake it till you make it sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really where the people that understand that are the
Yeah.
ones that find success. I know you know that my Barney career. I
Mhm.
I never been in a costume when this whole thing fell into my lap, and
Really?
never been in a costume, couldn't dance, all of the things that required for the job. And I said, sure I can. Yes, yes. And so, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
That is wild. Oh my gosh. It was meant to be. And it was just in you. You had the natural ability.
And it's funny you say that about the musicians, because I did the same. I went to my mother was a professional dancer.
Hmm.
I went to her and said, "Can you please teach me these steps? I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing." And she did. She broke down everything and showed me how to do it. And so I knew that I was learning the
Wow.
proper way. How do you do a jump? How do you land? How do you not hurt yourself? All of those things, which is very difficult in the costume. But if you have someone professionally teaching you, then it's easier.
Yeah, for sure. Did you ever take any tumbles?
Yes. Yeah, yes. But there it is again, the fake it till you make it. I learned you're very motivated very quickly to get up
Hmm.
very fast when there's thousands of people watching you.
Totally. It's like you make it work.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's
Yeah.
exactly it.
You're like, and I'm tumbling and I'm up again. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And then you just, you brush it off like you almost meant to do it. You just go on.
Amazing. Do you have a blooper reel?
Well, there's some blooper reels, yes. Not ones that I yeah, when you're in a big costume like that and you're going, there's just no way.
Of
You have
course.
to make it look authentic. So, if you,
Totally.
you miss a step, or yeah, you, you don't just kind of fall. Like you knock out, you make a one heck of a knockout.
Totally. Oh my goodness.
So I want to go back a little bit to talk about that style that you found, the voice that you found, what you wanted to throw out there to the world.
Yeah. Well, I felt I had some living to do in many ways. And I made my first album it was my like major label debut. And it, I felt like I made two albums, one that the producer and I were making, and one that the label kind of wanted us to craft and make it sort of like this more like pop centric thing. And I couldn't sell that as well. So when after that record came out, I just took some time to listen to music, live, write, journal every day, morning, noon, and night, sort of collect ideas and thoughts. Um, and I think I took probably a year and a half of just writing consistently. I'd moved to Nashville. Um, I met with a ton of different producers, uh, and I started writing with a guy named Thad Cockrell. And my husband was on tour. We sort of holed up in our little cottage in Sylvan Park, a little neighborhood in Nashville, and just workshopped all those ideas. And I was on about to get married. I was on the brink of so much change. It was just like, fertile ground for songwriting. So much was just on the surface. And I just like dove in, wrote all those songs very quickly in that home. And uh, once those were written, I ended up meeting Kevin Agunis and Richard Swift, who ended up producing that next project. It ended up being a project called Little Spark. I knew that they could fill in all the blanks that I needed. I was like, the sonic landscape, both of these two men are in the realm that I would like to be sonically. So we sort of, I would, send them different records I'm listening to, influences for this project, um, some even being works that they had previously worked on. But I was like, but I also want it to be my own. And I really want to capture sort of the spirit of what I've been creating in the clubs in Los Angeles, sort of this hazy, moody, uh, love songs, really, and sort of like Dusty in Memphis, but a little hazier and psychedelic. Um, so during that period, Richard Swift and I became very close because he was the multi instrumentalist on the project. And that's kind of like when Strawberry Wind came into play. I had said to him, I'd love to someday make a children's album, a family album, something that's like Harry Nilsson's The Point. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite albums too. We're going to do this someday. And I was like, we're going. Oh, yes, we are going to. It's going to happen. At that point, I didn't have children. I was very recently married. Like, it was just an idea, but it was like our first dream together. So, yeah, that's kind of, that's where I really feel like I found myself and my sound on tape. That record also, there was not a single digital touch on it. Everything was analog.
Oh, wow.
Everything was mixed to tape. They were like devoted in doing it. Even if you have a copy of the vinyl, it even has a vinyl master, so it's like truly never digitally touched. So
Very cool. Very cool. We
kind of
have to
nerdy.
take a sidestep and say who your husband is. And so we
Mhm.
explain why when you
Yeah.
go on tour.
Yes, my husband is in the band Kings of Leon. So at that point, they were really blowing up in the US. Overseas, they'd already had a lot of success, but like the whole world at this point was discovering them.
Yeah, I mean, they're an amazing band. Very cool.
Oh,
Very
thank you.
cool. I'm curious, because you haven't mentioned it yet, is that are you two in two different worlds when it comes to your music, or is he involved in your music? Where does
Uh,
that come in?
I mean, the only time we've ever done something together is when I sang backup vocals for Kings of Leon at the Kennedy Honors for we were honoring the Eagles. So that was the only time.
Very
Um,
cool.
maybe someday, we have ideas and dreams, and um, I always love his opinion on things. I don't always agree with it,
Sure.
but yeah, I mean, we appreciate the same types of music. His is like, it's funny, he listens to things that people would be surprised, that very like mellow music for being a rock drummer, but I think
Right.
that's sort of like what calms him in his home space. um and I'm like cranking T-Rex, so it's funny. And my music is like a little more like heart-centered mellow, so it's funny.
Well, and I could see that listening to Strawberry Wind. So you did make Strawberry Wind. Let's talk about it.
Yes, and I did. And I mean, and Richard and I went on to make another album together, and then uh Strawberry Wind, like it was like the full circle moment. Our first dream came to fruition. And I mean, I talk again, fake it till you make it. I like pitched this idea to Amazon just on a whim, like, I don't know if they're gonna support this. Are they gonna get it? I had none of the songs written, nothing. It was just in my head. It was in the atmosphere between Richard and I, this like very loose idea. And I basically said, yeah, I don't know. It might be some original, maybe some covers. I mean, I'm just like this talking to, the folks at Amazon, and they're like,
Right.
yeah, we love it. Let's do it. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, get off the phone, and I'm like, well, I guess I have to write this now. But it just took that. Like it was all just waiting there. As soon as I had the go ahead that this was real, like I had support to do this, I could make this happen. I actually booked the time with Richard Swift before the songs were written because I knew that he was so busy. And I was like, okay, I clearly have a deadline. And I even tighter deadline because I was going on tour to Europe with my husband. So I was like, you have 4 weeks to write an entire album. Turns out having a small child of 3 years old is all I needed. She was absolutely my muse, sitting with her and her friends, getting on their level, listening to them, just paying attention to the things I was dealing with, the little magical moments that the way children see life and their imaginative brains are just so colorful. And I loved listening to her and the way she would describe small moments in life. And I realized, I was like, okay, all the songs are right here. I just have to catch a few of these. So that's sort of where it all happened. I mean, I just started writing ideas and a few titles down, and the songs kind of popped off the page with the help of Thad Cockrell, again, my songwriting partner, and Daniel Tashin, who I'd never written with before, but that actually ended up starting a beautiful friendship and working relationship. He and I were, I mean, writing 2 songs a day for this project. And same with that. Like, once I committed to it, we were like, okay, we'll write the opening song, Dreamcatcher, and Sparkle Shoelaces in the same day. It was just, we were just ready to go. It was time.
I love that. And it recorded in Nashville?
Recorded in Oregon,
Oh, in
actually,
Oregon.
where Richard's studio
Okay.
was. Yeah, is.
So I'm really curious about this because obviously I worked with children for a long time, and kids, everything's possible, obviously. And
Hmm.
obviously we were both kids at one point. And
Yeah,
as we become adults, that mentality, a lot of that unfortunately is suppressed or kind of goes away. And it was one of the things I loved about working with kids. It almost opened it out of me again, realizing about
completely.
how I could be silly and all the things that I could do and being on their level. So as your daughter's doing this, how do you stay in that mindset while, because as you mentioned beforehand, this is like a family album for everyone, right? And
Yeah,
it
yeah.
feels that way. So how are you in the mindset of kids, but also as an adult?
Well, I think these are just universal themes that anyone can connect to. Like, you know, something like words are powerful. You got to be thoughtful. And at times, be careful what you say, the way you speak into I mean, I was with a group of moms. Yesterday was the last day of school. And, we had that conversation of, you got to be careful what you put out there. Like, even if you're throwing something away, like, oh, I'm just so mad, I hate myself, and your kids are listening and they're like, do you really hate yourself? Like, no, I don't. I shouldn't say that. Like, that actually, like, that lands, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, I tried to really make the themes be something that anyone can relate to, actually allow an adult to see more colors in their mind while they're listening to this. These words aren't, just for kids. They're things that, even thinking of some music I listened to with my parents, some of it went over my head, some of this might go over their head, and the
Right.
parents might be like, oh, that one, maybe that line's for me a little bit more.
Right.
um so yeah.
Yeah. So I watched your on Strawberry Wind, the movie, the
Yeah.
video,
Oh, I'm
and
glad you saw that.
I that immediately got me to wanting to talk to you because I just it there's a vibe about it that like immediately put me in that place. It
Yeah.
immediately, just watching it from the beginning, the combination of the music and the words,
Hmm.
it I don't know, it was just very innocent. It was kind of like let your troubles will go away. There was just
Yeah,
such,
yeah.
if that makes sense, it immediately I immediately connected to it.
Yeah, totally. I'm so glad to hear that. Yeah, so the opportunity to, you know, I mentioned Harry Nelson's The Point, which has a cartoon that's part of the story of The Point, is that
Mm.
it's a film that goes along with it. So again, blindly pitching this idea. Now we've made this record. I think we should do a cartoon with it. And they're like, sounds great. Awesome. And then I'm like, okay, gotta find a director, and I love Stephen Merton's work because it is like sort of bridges that gap between childlike and things that adults could connect to, that stop motion, um some hand drawn things, some collage, like it's just a little like psychedelic, and it's just got an edge to it. And again, that was totally seamless. Like he heard and he's like, I know exactly which were the exact songs that I thought we should do as well, um, for the short film, and just to kind of like story tell. Uh, yeah, I'm so proud of that little film.
Oh, you should be. You should be. It's just wonderful, and we highly recommend that you go watch it. If you're watching this, you should check this out. It's amazing. So how does that come about? Putting that together is are they? It's he showing you drawings, and you're kind of pitching
Yeah,
ideas, and
I think because of that, the opening song Dreamcatcher, we felt like this idea of going into this like psychedelic dream landscape just set the tone for a lot of play, a lot of scenarios that could be super whimsical and sort of outrageous. And then so he wrote out what potentially could happen, and just these sort of like interesting kind of goofy odd characters, like the dream catcher
yes,
cat,
yes.
the little bad dream demon, and the elephant and the bikini, all the things. Like it just I just fell in love with all of the little characters and the strawberry boy. um it it just kind of wrote itself, honestly. So it was all there. It's all in the lyric. So he pulled it from it so beautifully.
So how long did the album take to record?
9 days.
And how long did it take you to write it all?
4 weeks.
Wow.
Quick.
Wow.
I was just ready, I think. It's something my publisher has since retired, but she's like, you've always been that way. I was always trying to get you to write like every week and like can be very consistent, but I think you always needed time to like think and live and have these experiences and like dig into your journal and have those moments with yourself so that you'd be ready to write. And I mean, I am that type of lyricist. I need space and a little bit of time. Um, but then, like, when the moment's there, I'm ready, you know?
Well, don't you think that's, you obviously do. I always thought that's really important to the listener,
Yeah.
that the authenticity of it. If you're writing about stuff that you've never really experienced, you don't really understand, I think they can feel that.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like it needs to be experienced, or, if you're storytelling, you need to be connected to that story in some way. It has to have had moved you in a way that it feels like it's your own in a way, you know?
Right. Well, right. I've always, you see the singing competitions, right? And there's a 14-year-old talking about being in love and all that. And I get it. They have these amazing voices, but
Hmm.
it's just hard to connect, knowing
Totally,
that they probably really haven't experienced the things that they're singing about.
totally, totally. Yeah.
Which makes me, could you have done Strawberry Wind without your daughter?
No, no, uh, absolutely not. I mean, she's 100% the muse, as well as Daniel Tashin's children. He has three daughters. Because I'd be like, oh, I've got this idea. And he's like, but so do I, I've got, you know, the girl said this to me, and I adore his kids. So it was like, they were all just at that ripe age of like 6 and under, and they all just were like filled to the brim with magic, which is why like the cover of the record is like the little girl
Hmm.
filled with stardust. That's kind of how I see Violet at that age.
Okay.
And that is a picture of Violet
Yep.
walking in my mother's garden in New Jersey. I took a photo of her, and I had Sam Smith, who did the artwork. I was like, can we use this in the art? And he's like, that's actually exactly what I need. And we just kind of chopped her hair off because she had long hair, and just gave her a bob. And, you know,
It's really amazing how this all came together like it did.
it really, I mean, talking about it over the past few weeks as I'm revisiting it, and um, it kind of blows my mind that I pulled it off, and just the moments of magic that just are, it's like a quilt of magic that it all came together the way it did, and the people that were involved. Actually, speaking of Sam Smith, who did the cover, he said no 4 times to this. He didn't listen to the music. He's like, I don't have time. I'm doing a huge art exhibition in Japan. I don't have the space. And I said to my manager, I was like, ask him again. Just send him a link, ask him again. And she's like, he said no. And then by the 4th time he asked, that we asked him, I was like, all right, send him my Pinterest board. Send him the Pinterest board. Let him see what I want this to be. Like maybe he needs a, and then maybe he'll listen. If he sees the images that I sort of think this could be in the realm of, and he saw it, and then he listened to the music, and he said, I can't say no to this. I'm in. But I had to beg. I did.
Well, sometimes you got to do that, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they kept throwing out other ideas, and I was like, it's not right. He's got to do it. I'm sorry. Thank you for suggesting that person, but Sam's got to do the cover. Someone else can do the inside, but he's got to design just this cover image.
Well, when you know, you know.
You do, and I guess I'm stubborn like that. I'm an Aries, and sometimes like that's like when it works to my benefit is like that. So,
I'm an Aries also.
are you? What's your birthday?
March 21st.
Nice, April 4th.
Okay. So
And
I'm
my son is an Aries too.
oh wow. Wow. And my father was an Aries, so I understand all about Aries very well.
Awesome.
I'm curious, when you were talking to your daughter, are you asking questions? Is she just talk? I'm really curious about how that
It
stream of ideas or of thoughts came out.
no.
And the other
I
kids
didn't
as
have to-
well.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't have to do a thing. It was like all right there, just sitting with her in the, especially, I loved being in the car with my children around that age of like 3 and 4, the things they
Mhm.
say looking out the window.
Right.
Um, or some of like my favorite moments. I have like notes in my phone of like the funny things my children have said. Um, and it's always was like just them like kind of spaced out in the car, and the things that would come into their mind. And um, but yeah, it I just paid attention for like a few weeks, and then it was, the songs were all there. I mean, sparkle shoelaces, I just happened to be wearing shoelaces that were sparkly that day that we wrote that, and it was, that felt like Thad Cockrell and I have always said, like, we feel like we could write, if we're inspired enough, we could write about anything. And
Mhm.
I was like, yeah, just shoelaces, we could write about that for sure. And we have reached our goal. We have peaked. An inanimate object we can write a song about.
Which with kids, that all of that's in play.
Absolutely. It was like endless, like anything, anything could go.
Well, I found
Yeah.
out, obviously, I mean, the key to Barney was the music.
Yeah.
I mean, Barney's success has everything to do with that music and
Yeah,
all of that was involved with that. And it's fascinating that how much, I mean, kids are obviously the reaction to music and it's in them.
for sure. It connects to them on a deeper level, music, I think. It's feels very pure for them. I can see it just how important their favorite songs are to them, you know?
What are their favorite songs right now? What do they listen to?
My son is obsessed with Journey Any Way You Want It right now, especially the intro. He just like feels it. He is just he also loves Bruce Springsteen, I'm Going Down. Um, my daughter loves Kate Bush
Oh wow.
and uh, Stevie Nicks, Edge of 17. She's actually in the other room building a a full stage for Stevie Barbie right now.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Uh-oh.
And I'm on the road with Stevie, so I'm going to photograph this whole setup for her. So I think Stevie will really appreciate
Oh, you
that.
are on the, oh.
Yeah, I head back out Sunday morning. So
Well, so have you taken Strawberry Wind out to the public yet?
not not for these shows with Stevie, just
Okay.
because um I mean these songs would work. Like I actually
Right.
think the song Supermoon would be kind of perfect in that set because Stevie's like a human supermoon, really. And you know, that would work. But I just because it's a family album, I just felt like the moodier stuff kind of works best in the opening slot. Um, but it could
So is there a plan for that at some point to take
to
this to
to a live show.
to a live show or maybe even a
Yeah.
specifically to a family audience?
Yeah, I mean, we have an idea. Actually, my husband's creative director, Casey, felt really connected to this project and wrote his company. They wrote up a sort of this deck of, you know, basically showing the film in planetariums where I would perform the songs live
Wow.
with the short film behind me, as well as some songs outside of the short film. But um, and I definitely don't want to let that dream die at all. So maybe we'll see how this goes the first few months. Maybe the fall that could work. You know,
Right.
it's all kind of ready to go. So it's just a
Sure.
matter, you know, making sure that this record gets into the hearts of families because um, I really think there's a place for it in everyone's home, even if you're, you know, an adult single person too.
Oh, I absolutely agree with you. And it's, you know, this children's entertainment and children's music is that audience is always hungry
Oh
for
yeah,
um unfortunately there's a lot of bad stuff out there and that just doesn't really hit, it doesn't really connect. And so when the
yeah,
audience find, they're always searching for it. When they find it, they really connect to it.
totally, totally. I mean, there's parents that are just as passionate about Bluey as the children. You know,
Mm, I
they're
do.
like a new season, yay! You know,
I do. I do.
it's cool. It's cool. I mean, I feel that way. Like when a new children's film comes out, I'm like putting it on the calendar, buying the tickets. You know, it's like
Uh,
it's exciting. It's for us now too. You
right.
know.
Right. Well, I've been to several myself. Myself and my wife, we've been to several of those. So yeah, absolutely. The
Totally.
connection of it. It's yeah, it's fascinating. So what will be what's so where's next? Where do you go next with this?
Uh, next.
I
Well,
mean, was this just a because was this just a passion project? Will you do more for kids? Will you,
I
where will you
mean, we'll
go?
see. We'll see. Well, this is the deluxe edition, so I did write a few new tunes. Um, this past fall. Um, but again, my kids are at the children were the muses here. Now my son is here. So the song Big Feelings is a new one, and that I wrote for him because he's a big feeling kid. He's got huge emotions. So much so that last summer was really a challenge for my husband and I. And I thought to myself, how am I going to revisit Strawberry Wind and write material? I feel exhausted. I feel like I don't know how to help him right now. I'm a little bit at a loss. Where do I begin? Where do I find the magic? And then I was like, I need to write about this big feeling kid. Because guess what? I have these feelings also. And I'm still trying to learn how to contain them at times and how to navigate it and be a great person every day. And okay, I guess we're evolving as a family. And this project, these sort of extended tracks, can be a part of that evolution as well. Also, Richard is no longer here. He has passed away, unfortunately, a year after we recorded Strawberry Wind. So
Wow.
I had to sonically make an evolution to keep it connected and yet still continue, the story.
Mm-hmm.
So, I feel like I've dipped back into it. And again, like as soon as I committed to that idea, it was all there. And then we wrote A Beautiful Life a few days later. And, um, we did one cover song. It's a Bee Gees cover that's not a children's song, but I think it's like a perfect sentiment for this project. So yeah, it just the stuff writes itself once I like just pay attention to what I need to.
Isn't that interesting? And how do you get into that creative mindset to let that happen with kids and life and all the things that go on?
And I mean, it's hard, especially
Yeah.
now with two kids that are in, elementary school. Our days are filled. It's just nonstop. I mean, I truly have to schedule it. I have to put in time on the family calendar, like to make time to do this. That's the only way it's going to get done. Otherwise, it's just going to get muddied up, and I'll somehow be working in the lunchroom at their school,
Right.
which I, by the way, love. You know what I mean? In,
Sure.
in many ways, like that's my main gig. Is being a mom, doing all of that, raising these like emotionally healthy children. My like side hustle is making these records right now.
Right.
But my main focus is them. But I also have realized that I'm my best self when I'm doing both. I feel disconnected when I'm not able to be creative. And I just feel like I can show up for them so much, more authentically and be more present, even if I'm like a little exhausted from whether it's traveling on tour or whatever. I feel like I have more to offer. And my kids seeing me in that space, my daughter and her friends getting to watch me open at Bridgestone Arena in Nashville for Stevie Nicks and say to them, you know me as Miss Jessie who like drives you to the mall or wherever to softball.
Right.
Like that is me, but this is also part of me, and I want you to see this part as well. It's really important. Um, like I think that's cool, and yeah, just important for them to see.
And what do they think?
They were like, they were in awe and just loved it, and they've all been listening to my music now. Like I don't think they really understood
Hmm.
what I do, and now they're like all deep into I've made it onto their playlists. That's all I've ever wanted, is to be on my children's friends playlist.
That's a big, excuse me. That's a big deal too, because they won't put you on just because your mom. They
No,
they have to actually like it.
totally, totally. I mean, honestly, sometimes when I have to like listen to a mix in the car, my son's like, "Oh, turn it off. Don't do." But then like I catch him in his room singing Strawberry Wind, or this morning he woke me up singing It's the Summertime. So it's like in there. He's just,
Right.
hard to get.
Sure. Sure. Well, it's hard because it's mom.
It
That
is.
it's funny. Oh, so my wife was a widow, and so I'm stepfather to two teens. And so when we started dating and then they found out about Barney, you can just imagine that whole that whole thing. Because they were like 12 and 13
Oh
when they
my
found out
goodness.
mom was dating the guy that used to play Barney.
Oh my gosh.
But now there's aspects of it that's cool at times, right? So
Totally.
you
Totally.
never know. It's funny because sometimes they'll, hey, can you meet my friend? So sometimes they don't tell, and then sometimes they want to tell, and it's just funny how that comes in.
They're complicated little creatures.
They
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. They're proud of you when you're not around, you know?
Yes. Yes. And I'm fascinated for you and what it'll be like for them as they grow up and understand what you fully understand what you did with Strawberry Wind and bringing them in on that project. And I mean, I understand understand some part of it right now, but as
Totally.
they get older, what you were
Totally.
doing.
Yeah, yeah. I think my daughter is 11 now, so she gets it. And I actually had her sing on the deluxe songs. So for her to be a part of that, like that was again a full circle moment.
Right.
Um, and that felt really good to have her be a part of it. It felt appropriate also. And she has the sweetest little voice. So um my son, I invited him. He declined the offer. So he's like, no.
Are, are they very different?
They're very different. They're hilarious. My son is he never stops talking, honestly. He's just like chatty Cathy all the time. We actually just had to we belong to like a pool for the summer so they can go
Sure.
swim with their friends. We had to give them a Polaroid of his picture and said, "Do not feed this child. He has to be accompanied by an adult because he knows our number." And so he'll get like 9 soft serves in a row. And it's just the funniest thing. His little like mug shot, him smiling, and it's taped right behind the snack bar. He won't stop. He's like, yesterday we went and I was like, this has to end. He had like a Coke, Skittles, and 4 ice creams. It was crazy.
Yeah, but those are kids, you know.
Totally, totally.
Yeah, it's funny. So my daughter just came back from second year of college, and so we're unloading the car of everything, all the dorm stuff, and she had a snack cart. She has created a cart at her dorm with all the snacks. So if you just need snacks, there's everything
She's
will
ready.
work.
Did you get her a Costco card for
Oh,
college?
yeah, no, we did. Yeah, we did get her a card, and
Oh
I'm
goodness.
unloading the car and I'm pushing this down the driveway. And my wife just lost it, and I'm like, it looks like we have a snack cart here.
Oh, that's gonna come in. It's gonna be fantastic this summer for your family.
Oh, her brother loves the snack cart.
I I believe it. And the snacks, it's like the snacking never ends.
Right,
Like, and then it's like we need new snacks. We would like different snacks. I'm like, we're literally running out of snacks. We've tried them all.
right. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Um, so you're doing, is it a mix of your music that when you're out performing now, do you do the early stuff and
Yeah, I do a mix from the past 3 albums: Little Spark, Dark Place, and Jersey Girl, which came out September of 2022. That was my last big release. And uh, that is very much me writing myself back into my life. I had stopped being creative and just was sort of like fully in the parenthood realm. And it was good, but I felt completely lost at the same time. And I just thought maybe if I write myself back in, I can discover who I am again. And that's sort of what that record is. So, and that was after Strawberry Wind. So it definitely felt connected for sure. Just having two kids just rocked me. It just, they say two's a zoo. It's a fact.
Yes, yes, it is. And was this during COVID?
I started writing it actually before COVID. We started recording it February 2020, so right at the
Okay.
start of it. I mean, we sort of went into the studio, and I had giant Purell bottles and was placing them all over, and you know, that was the beginning of it. And then we started recording for 4 days, and then it was like, we got to shut this down. This is, you know, the world is changing right now. So that project took like over a year of recording. Just, is it safe to do it, or can we, we're going to go into a small dark studio together. What's this going to look like? So it definitely took a lot of effort to get that one done, just logistically.
And so but were you still writing during COVID?
uh Not as
No,
much.
just recording.
No, I was just waiting. I was just sort of in a holding pattern, and surviving. I'm just making 3 meals a day every day.
Yes, yes, my wife would connect with that with you.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I learned a lot. I mean, a lot of new dishes, and, you know, I can do much more household things than I could before 2020.
So as they get older, where do you see your career going? Where do you see your music going?
I feel really open to anything. I feel like I've checked off a lot of boxes right now creatively. Um, so I feel like I'm in the space of wanting to live and experience again. And that's where my head's at. I am still writing. I think I have like half a project, something I would like to record, maybe do like a little EP or something. Um, that's sort of at the front of my mind. But at the same time, I just feel like I want to connect with the family right now and my life and my friends, and just see what's out there. And I just kind of feel very open to things at the moment,
Yeah,
whether
because
it's music or something else creatively. I don't know. We'll see.
it's really interesting where it goes creatively. I've done this podcast for a long time. It was just something that I had to do creatively to keep myself going. And I had stopped for a year, and then something inside me said, I need to start doing this again. I need to start hearing stories. I need to start doing this again. And it's just interesting when you have creativity and we all have it, but there are times where it just knocks on you and says, you've just got to do this.
Totally, totally. And I think that's, going back to like when that sort of something that's truly experienced, that is authentic, is like when you need to do this, it's like there's no stopping you. You know what I mean?
I
Um,
do. And I love that you mentioned the balance with your kids, because I feel that way too. That I don't know, there's something about it being able to be creative that it puts me in closer with them. Like, I don't know. I just feel like I've maybe
it's like I have more to offer them or something. My brain feels like a little less tense, you know?
right. Right. Well, and you're able to get that out of
Yeah.
there. I don't think it leaves, right? If
No,
if you don't do the project, whatever that may be, it just stays there.
totally. You got to get it out.
You got to
Yeah.
get it out. You got to get it out. Um, I get. I want to. We have a little bit more time left, and I want to talk a little bit more about Strawberry Wind because I just think it's such an amazing project that you did. What was? Do you have a favorite song on there?
Oh, I mean,
Or are they all kind of your babies in a way?
yeah, they're all my babies. I mean, my sister-in-law is a Lily Aldridge. She heard the record and she's like, I am a dreamer. She's like, that's my Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And I have to say that song really like is very special to me. Um, because I wanted to write a song that wasn't just for the happy go lucky kid. It's the kid that has to be a dreamer that kind of has had to struggle, and the only thing they have is their dreams. That's they're dreaming of something better, and um, as long as they have that, that keeps them safe.
I do.
Um, so yeah, I think that song is really important to me, and yeah, I guess that's sort of like for me my Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
It's interesting where the connections come in because when I was watching Dreamcatcher, my daughter has them all over her room. She's been collecting dream catchers since she was a little kid. And
Wow.
there was just an immediately I saw it, thought it just it's funny how just the visual and the words can connect you
Yeah.
like that. And I thought, oh my gosh, she would love this song.
Oh wow. That my daughter has this like huge dream catcher in her room, and at the time she said to me one morning, she goes, "Mom, my dream catcher didn't work last night." And I was like, "Tell me about it. What happened?" And she's like, "I had a bad dream. I thought you said that it was going to catch all the bad ones." And I was just like, writing down. I'm
Right.
like, "That's it. That's." And I rushed across town and got to the studio and wrote that song. It was just like, that has to be done.
I love that. I
Yeah,
love that.
my dream catcher isn't working.
See, and that's just you can't out of the mouths of babes, as they say. I mean, the innocence that comes out there.
Totally. You just lock in and pay attention. It's pretty magnificent.
Yeah, it's gold.
Yeah.
It's gold. And the interesting part is there'd be a lot of adults that wouldn't see it.
Yeah. The
And
secrets to life are through the kids.
right. And they were a kid at one point, but we get into life, and we've had this discussion on this show before about that.
Hmm.
Our imagination, all the things we have. And as we get older, a lot of that, unfortunately, goes away unless we it's still in us, bring it back out.
For sure. For sure. You got to work for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Once you unlock it, it's like it's there. I've
Right.
taken the way I see things, the way I wrote for this project. I was like, I just need to see things, describe things more. I want to feel more colors when I'm writing. I took that into writing Jersey Girl. That was like, it made that experience easier and just more playful. Like, I think I'm just different after this project.
Which I'm guessing, right, from each album, you learn something that goes into the next one.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally. In one way or another.
So I kind of want to finish up with what is it like to open up for Stevie Nicks?
It's like standing on the tippy top of the mountain of your childhood dreams. If you asked me as a kid, like, so you want to be a singer, what's your dream? I would say to tour with Stevie Nicks. And that's not an exaggeration. Like, so I guess I now have to dream again because it's happened. This past year, I started last May opening for her. It's been completely surreal and wonderful and magical, and her audience is incredible. And Her team is great. I'm just beyond thrilled. So now I dream again.
Yeah, I mean, Landslide's one of my favorite songs, and so, which it's funny, it kind of has that vibe too. There's a songs of hers, the same thing. There's these connections. So I
Yeah,
can see your music and her music. I can see that audience connecting to both. How has her audience connected to you?
it's been surprising. I was sort of warned that when you're opening for an act like Stevie Nicks, it's like it's just you between the audience and their favorite artist, and they want you off stage as quickly as possible. So don't like expect much. But that hasn't been the case. They've been so welcoming and responsive. um I'm grateful because was fully prepared to just be like, you know song and dance and thank you very much, here she is, you know what I mean. But that just, it was not like that at all. And i I had said to my band and tour manager at the last show, I'm like, maybe I wrote my entire catalog just so that one day I might be the opening act for her. So because it feels really seamless and complimentary, and it's just a beautiful night of music.
I love that.
Yeah,
So what is your next dream?
I gotta live and see. We'll see.
And just keep it open.
I'm open. Yeah, I just feel very open to the possibilities. It could be anything, really. Music or food. Very addicted to flavor, so maybe it's related to maybe food and music, something together like that.
Well, I'm hoping that idea of Strawberry Wind at the planetariums comes to happens, because I think that would be amazing.
I hope so too. We'll come to Fort Worth. Do you have a planetarium there?
Oh my gosh, I don't know
Maybe
that we,
Dallas.
if Dallas, I'm right in the middle right now. So
Yeah, yeah.
you show somewhere in Texas, I'm a big Texan, so
Holding you to that.
you show up in Texas, I will be there.
It's a big state, so okay.
Yeah, it's a big state. I promise you, we have several. So you get here, we'll do it. Uh,
Sweet.
Jessie, it's just been a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, so nice. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, congratulations. You've really hit something there, and I will continue to listen to it. And I love what you've done, and I wish you so much success and have fun on the rest of the Stevie Nicks tour.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you for watching Purple Roads. Remember to keep your eyes, ears, and your heart open, and you'll find your purple road. We'll see you real soon.